What's up guys, it's me Albastel. Before this video starts, I just want to ask that you guys subscribe if you want to see more content, as I'm reaching 1,000 subs. Today's video will be how to fight the meta, and I'll leave the timestamps here for specific things that you want to get better at fighting. And let's just get right into it. Now, with Haka, you have a few options. Your first option, obviously, is to parry or block your way out of the Haka combo. Or, alternatively, you can dodge. But you have to be careful, because sometimes Haka users will guard break you by using a move that you aren't expecting. For example, if you try to parry Spine Rend, you will very likely be forced to block it, and which can lead into being guard broken. The same thing goes for counters. You can use a counter at the start of a Haka combo, but it's worth taking note that if they use Spine Rend, it will hit directly through your counter. Some of these counters that you can use against these Haka players, which works 50-50 of the time, is the Ice counter, Pressure Shift, Negation, Theater's counter, or any counter that is available in game. The other option you have for escaping these combos is using a move that is very fast, for example, a frame 1 move. These moves consist of Blood C, for example, and for my second example, I use Iron's T, Adamantite Kicks. You can use these moves to escape, however, it's not guaranteed, as if they are using a move beforehand and it hits you first, your move will be cancelled. Your final option to escape the Haka combo is to pop Visored or Let's. These will allow you to negate all damage for a small amount of time, getting you out of the Haka combo successfully while healing you as well. This is assuming you don't have your mode on already, and unfortunately for Vastos, you don't really have much of an option unless you're dodge variant. That's all from my section. On to you, Con.
So there are 3 different types of Keto trees. One for a Rankar Keto, which is more offensive and aggressive than the other 2 trees. Quincy Keto, which is the furthest firing out there, the most passive, and SR Keto, which is the highest damage dealing and most defensive out of the 3. The first type of Keto users I'll talk about is the most annoying, Quincy Keto. When fighting a Quincy Keto user, you're going to want to make sure you are applying as much pressure as possible. This is because their kit specializes on long distance attacks, so giving them the range to use those attacks makes it much easier for them to kill you, and harder for you to kill them. You're also going to want a counter of some sort, or knowledge on how to defend yourself against these attacks within the skill tree. Thankfully, most of the attacks within Quincy Keto's kit do not guard break, with the exception of Legs Regen, if you are hit multiple times, and still Silver. The second type of Keto users is SR Keto. Now, fighting SR Keto is very similar to fighting Quincy Keto, but you have to be mindful of when to rush and when to defend yourself. If they put down their Danku, they are likely going to use Heavily Cannon or Hada number 99 due to their long windups. However, if they use these moves raw, since they have such a long startup, that is when you are going to go in. Unfortunately, SR Keto is in a very strong state right now, so a lot of the moves guard break and deal a lot of damage. The best thing you can do to defend yourself is parry or dodge the attacks, or alternatively counter out or evade by flash step. Lastly, we have a Rankar Keto. These are 2 types of Rankar Keto players, those who go full Keto and those who use Grimmjow with it. But you are more likely to see someone with Grimmjow using it, so that's what I'll cover here. When it comes to a Rankar Keto, it's relatively similar to fighting someone up close, but be careful when fighting these people. Never let them catch you in the air, because the combo is close to unavoidable. If you are caught in the air, however, your best bet is to try to counter, or try to parry the first attack that comes before the serial confinement. If you parry the attack before the confinement, it will auto-parry the confinement as well, setting you free from the combo. This is all. Now on to you, Som.
Now, fighting Kendo is probably the most difficult out of all of them, depending on your opponent. As Stel mentioned in the last video, there are 2 types of Kendo users, and I'll cover how to fight them both. When it comes to fighting an aggressive Kendo user, they are going to be using all of their rushdown moves, such as Eviscerate, Sonata Flow, and Flower Passage. When you want to evade Flower Passage, you are going to want to actually dash into it. instead of away from it. That way your dodge frames allow you to evade the attack. Take note that some people will do zigzag patterns to make sure they hit you, but that is if they are a stronger player. Flower Passage is blockable, but it's not recommended as it does massive posture damage and it can potentially sell you short. Sonata Flow is a move you have to parry, unless you predict it. Then you can counter it. This move is not blockable, and it has a 100% chance of blocking it. Eviscerate, however, is blockable. Just be wary. If you are fighting one of those aggressive players, you are going to have to be paying attention, as the mix-ups are very easy to create. For example, feinting Flower Passage and using Mortal Ties will catch you off guard if you were expecting a much faster move. When it comes to fighting a defensive, passive Kendo user, they're going to focus more on their parries. This is much harder to fight than the aggressive type, as they are more skilled and potent when it comes to knowing how to hold themselves against pressure. You're going to want to pressure them. However, if you end up taking too much damage in the process, back up and start playing defensively yourself. This will force them into playing more aggressively, believing that you are low. This will give you an opportunity to catch them off guard. You can also bait their counter by feinting, or aiming your move a little to the left or right of them, implying that you are going to attack them. This is all for my segment. Back to you, Sel.
Now, that'll conclude today's video. Some things I didn't include are the new SR weapon, Odachi, and Advanced Shunko. The advice I can give for that quickly is Odachi's crit is actually blockable, and Shunko's crit is also blockable. Those are two things to keep in mind. And as I said, that'll conclude today's video. I will give a shout out to my friends Som and Con. Thank you to Con and Som for doing the voices in today's video and providing the information needed. If you appreciated today's video, let me know by liking and subscribing the video. See you next time.